We want to keep this excellence going.
Unbelievable! Done it again!
Once you reach the top, where do we go from here?
At some point, the team is not going to meet the expectations.
Watching The Last Dance has to, especially last night's episodes, had to bring back so many memories for you of that time playing with Michael Jordan in the minors.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it's, to be honest, I wish they showed a little bit more. I mean, the baseball part, they were on a little bit. You know, obviously all my friends were texting me. They're like, I can't wait to see you in the video. I go, hey, you better not blink because I don't know if I'm in it at all. So, no, it brought back some good memories. It was pretty cool.
So what was it like when you first met him? You've heard about this guy who was a tremendous basketball player. Even at that time, they were, you know, talking about him being the greatest of all time. And now he's coming into your clubhouse. What was that like the first time you met him?
The first day was amazing. I got promoted from single A and I made the drive, you know, all the way through the night because I didn't want to take a plane. And when I first got there, I'll never forget that I was probably there about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I was the first one there. The clubhouse manager brought me to the locker. Nobody was there yet, so I was expecting to see some of my teammates that I played with in spring training come in. But Michael was the first guy to come in, and my locker being right next to his was kind of bizarre because I think he actually had 2 lockers, and then they had to make room for me. If you saw in the footage last night, he had 2 Jordan nameplates. So I actually took one next to him. It probably didn't make him too happy, but either way, when he came in, I was just like, hey, Mike Bertotti, nice to meet you. He's like, yeah, Michael Jordan. I'm like, yeah, I know who you are. And when I tell you, he shook my hand, it was like he was literally swallowed it. It was like it wrapped around my whole hand. I mean, this guy's got big hands, So, yeah, the first day was pretty cool.
I mean, did that surprise you, though, that he was there so early? And as I was reading the article, you were saying that he was always there early. Did that surprise you for a guy who was coming from where he was and had this, aura about him and this stature outside of baseball, obviously? But did that surprise you?
Yeah, I mean, at first, a little bit, but when I was talking to the guys, because I got there mid-season, they're like, no, he comes in early and leaves late every day. And that's when it really clicked to me. I said, well, obviously he's taking this game of baseball, seriously. I mean, because I didn't know. This is the first time I was meeting him. But no, the guy was there. Like I said, the work ethic from just watching him in basketball, he brought to baseball. I mean, when I tell you he gave it 100% every day, he wanted to become the best baseball player. And obviously, most of us probably knew he's not going to become the best baseball player, but in his mind, he probably thought he could. And that's the way he approached everything.
And what I'm hearing is that he respected what you guys were going through. Not just thinking that he was going to come over there and just automatically be successful, but he respected the work that it took to get to be even decent. Because I think he finished batting .202, with 3 home runs and a number of RBIs. But, it seems like he respected that.
Oh, without a doubt. When he came in, even the spring training, I think at first maybe he thought, picking up the game of baseball wouldn't be that difficult. But then he realized, it's a battle. And to hit a baseball, as we all know, you fail 70% of the time and you're considered good.
Right.
In basketball, no. And I think for him, to realize that you have to go through a lot of failure to become good, takes some time, which, obviously he grasped.
And Terry Francona was saying that if he had gotten 1,500 at-bats, he thinks that he could have made it up the ladder all the way to the major leagues. What were your thoughts as far as how good he could be if he continued to put the work in?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, he had his flaws in the beginning. Obviously his swing was a little long, his throwing motion was a little long, but the work ethic that he put in, if you look at his numbers in Birmingham, finishing at 202, but then when we went to Scottsdale, I think he hit over 250 in Scottsdale. And that fall league, I also played with him. I mean, the fall league had the best talent. That was the top prospects, throughout the minor leagues. And the fact that he hit better, almost 50 points higher, is just an attestament to say, hey, look how much better he got in just a few months. So yeah, I agree with Tito. If he had another 1,500 at bats, absolutely, there's no question, he could have made it to the big leagues.
Can you put into perspective how hard it is to hit a baseball? And now you're trying to do that at 31 years old after not doing it since, what, high school, middle school?
Oh, I mean, I was a good hitter in high school, and to be honest, I thought when I went to college, I was still going to hit. But they quickly took the bat out of my hand and said, "No, you're here to pitch."
Right.
And after watching, the college pitchers at the Division I level, I said, you know what? That's not a bad thing. I don't need the bat anymore. So,
right.
I went to pitching.
What was he like as a person? Because you're starting to see things like he was a tyrant. He was hard to play with. He was demeaning to some of his teammates. I'm sure that's, in order to drive them to get to a certain point, and maybe off the court, he was probably a little less than that, and probably a nice guy. But what did you learn about him and in your dealings with him?
Oh, I mean, he wanted to win every inning of every game. I mean, and that's the way he played it. Me being a pitcher, a little bit, different. I wasn't around him as much in the batting cage setting. I was out, in the outfield shagging fly balls, so I didn't hear what went on in the trenches, so to speak. But when I was in the dugout with him, after I was, done pitching, he's on the top step, and he's into every pitch of every game. And he's motivating the guys on the bench. Come on, let's go. We got to score another run. We got to get this runner to second base. Just the most incredible teammate I've ever had.
But was he as a person? I mean, your locker was right next to him. I'm sure you guys had conversations or some kind. You got a feel for what type of person he was.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we used to have conversations all the time. He would talk to me saying, at first he had a tough time hitting the fastball. As you saw last night. Pitchers would say, all right, here, hit a mid-90s fastball. So once he started catching up, and Mike Burnett did a great job, he worked with his swing, and he got him shortened up quick and moving closer to the plate. And when Michael started catching up the fastballs, obviously the pitcher said, okay, well, we're going to start throwing you some sliders. And he would talk to me, he'd be like, Bert, how do you hit this slider? He goes, it's coming in so fast, last second it breaks. I said, Michael, it's not easy. I said, you got to try to read the spin on the ball. But when the slider's coming in at, 88, 90 miles an hour, sometimes that little dot on the seams disappears and you can't recognize spin. I also said, listen, I told him to watch pitchers' patterns. I said, Michael, when you're in the dugout, watch how these guys are pitching to the guys before you. I said, if this pitcher's developing a pattern where he's always throwing a 1-2 breaking ball, well, when you're up 1-2, and you can't catch up to his fastball, maybe you got to look breaking ball. I mean, you see it all the time when you watch games on TV. You're like, how's this guy taking a fastball right down the middle? Well, he did because he was looking breaking balls. So, little stuff like that we had conversations about.
So he really was a student of the game, or trying to learn. He wanted to be the best that he could at that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, at first, like I said, not knowing him prior to meeting him, I didn't know why he was doing this. People still ask questions, why is he playing baseball? He's doing this for his father, somebody can't be. None of my business. All I knew was a person that when he came to the ballpark, he was trying to get better every single day. In his mind, he wanted to become the best baseball player. And plain and simple. Plain and simple.
Were there a lot of guys on the team that were kind of maybe resentful, or were they in awe of him being there and admired him for giving it the opportunity? I mean, giving it the chance.
No, I mean, everybody knew that, he was there for a reason. And, I don't think there was any resentment. Some people have always said he's taken a spot of a minor league player, that now that minor league player has to stay in A-ball because he's taken a roster spot. But I didn't believe that. I mean, if you played the way you're supposed to play, you're going to get moved up regardless. Just like I was in A-ball, I pitched well in A-ball, so they're going to make a spot for you somehow if you're doing well to move up. So I never looked like he was taking anybody's spot. I just looked at it like he was doing this for a reason, and Chicago ownership said, we got to put you in Double-A and, go from there.
Were you there when he bought the team bus?
Yeah, when I got there, they already had the bus.
So let's talk about the mode of transportation that you were used to in, like you said, Single-A, to that, when Michael bought the bus.
Oh, a little different. I mean, Single-A buses at times would break down, didn't have air conditioning. So this bus that he had, let's say that the seats were much better, softer cloth, they recline. So the bus itself, was a nice treat, coming up from A-ball, without a doubt.
And tell me about the infamous 3-pointer you hit on him.
Oh. Well, that was in Scottsdale. Yeah, we used to play pickup games every Sunday. We played 1 o'clock games. So after the 1 o'clock games, we'd go over to the park about 4:30, whatever. And each week, certain guys would go over and play. And yeah, I mean, we're just having fun. And I just pulled up and made a long jumper. I mean, I'm a decent basketball player, nothing great, but I had to get in his face a little bit and just joking around. I said, Michael, I said, you just let a 6'1", baseball player, shoot a 3-pointer over you. And I said, you got Defensive Player of the Year last year? I said, you gonna let me do that to you? Oh, and when I tell you, and I'm just joking around, he grabbed the ball, he looked me in the eyes, and he was dead serious. He's like, you guard me now. For him, this was competition. If I'm gonna say something like that to him, he's gonna say, all right, I'm coming back down to you. And he did a crossover dribble, and I didn't see it.
So you believe that competitive fire, all the way down to just you and him going at it, it was the equivalent of him going against Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boys, etc.
In a way, I mean, when I tell you, the look in his eyes, that he was dead serious when he said, come guard me, watch this. And I'm like, damn, I'm like, Michael, I said, I was just kidding around, And he was dead serious. I mean, wow, yeah, intense, crazy.
So just put into perspective what that experience was like. I mean, that had to be a circus, more media than a AA team probably would see, just on a regular basis with him there. What was that experience like, just overall?
I'll be honest, Otis, I don't know how we did it. I mean, my locker being right next to his, after every single game, I can't even tell you, 8, 9, 10 reporters, from all over the place, different countries, whatever. And I felt bad for him because he had to deal with this every single day. And even when he went 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts, he had to talk about it. I mean, and at times I felt for him because I'm like, after the game was over, we lost the game. He didn't have a good game. The team lost, which the team always came first in his mind anyway. So we lost the game, and then they're talking to him, and I think he felt like, why are all these reporters coming to me individually? We just lost the game. I went 0 for 5. What do you want to talk about? But still, I'll be honest, he answered every question. All the reporters had some questions that were kind of bizarre, but he answered all of them. So I give him credit for that, to deal with that every day. I know I couldn't do it. It was crazy.
In a couple clips, it seemed like the team was genuinely happy when he had success, knowing what he was going through. What was that like when he hit that first home run?
Prior to that game, I told him he's getting close, and then his couple prior at-bats, I believe he had a couple balls that almost went out in that game, if I'm not mistaken. So, I told him, dugout, he said, you're getting close, man, you're getting close. And then all of a sudden, the third one that he hit went further than the previous 2, and yeah, that was pretty special.
And as a Knicks fan growing up, did you look at him every once in a while and just remember, this guy, one locker over from you, destroyed your team's dreams so many times?
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I used to kid with him about that. I'm like, hey, you couldn't just, let us get one. I mean, we're up 2-0 against you. We were getting so excited, 93, and then all of a sudden you had to, just go out and sweep us after that. So, yeah, I gave him a little bit there, but like I said, it was cool just bringing back those memories.
Oh man, hey, thank you so much for your time, Mike. Take it as stroll down memory lane with Michael Jordan and the Miners.
Hey, my pleasure, Otis.